photographic evidence.
So it's worth the trip, obviously.
It was a good time.
That was one of the best, since probably between 82 and 84 is probably one of the best games I've ever. I mean, it's like back when I was in school. It was watching Bush on that better.
You know, I thought they would win.
Time to get there though, Bobby.
Oh, yeah, I know, but
They hung for a long time.
Long time.
And
I
was
thought it
nervous.
would be a touchdown,
But did you see his
10
recruiting?
points, but
Yeah, well, like you beat Ohio, you recruit maybe.
He's already picked up 3. I mean, he's picked up 3 just from nationally, top nationally ranked, just from Ohio. So he's, you know, when you do that, then you got a decade ahead of you. Right. He comes up again strong next year.
he's the only guy that can go, I wonder if they're gonna fire me the next meeting. So walking on water.
If he wins the national championship, the half he gave back, they'll double.
I don't think he has to win the national championship to do that.
No, he's already done that. All right, it's about 7:31 p.m. I'd like to call to order this Fenton Township Board meeting on the 6th day of December, 2021. I would like everyone to stand, please, and take a minute of silence for the victims and their families of Oxford. Then we'll go
Recording
directly.
in progress.
And then we'll go directly into the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Chief. Clerk Crew, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Lorraine,
Present.
Reed,
Here.
Kotrick,
Present.
Krug is present, Kessler,
Here.
Gopel is absent, Tucker,
Present.
you have 6 members present.
Thanks. I'd like to note for the record that the Township Attorney Jack Belzer and Operations Manager Tom Broker are also present. Additionally, the following township officials are also present virtually by Zoom.
Actually, just the assessor or the chief is here in person.
I was going to say Township Assessor Julia Wilson. Also present is our Fire Chief, Chief Holtz. Sorry, Chief. Thought I was going to see you on Zoom. That's where I had you. I forgot to get talking. And also did get a text from our township engineers, and they will also not be joining us this evening. Tom, will you detail the procedures for those attending tonight's virtual meeting?
Yes, to the members of the public attending tonight's meeting, in person or via Zoom, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded to be shown on public access television, Spectrum Channel 191. Recorded meetings are also posted on the Fenton Area Community Television YouTube channel. For those attending via Zoom, we ask that you keep your microphone muted until we reach the portions of the meeting where public comment is allowed, at which time further instruction will be given. For tonight's meeting, there is a public hearing on the 2022 Fenton Township budget, during which public comment will be accepted. All other public comment will be taken near the end of the meeting. Meeting materials are available for download on the Township's website at www.fentontownship.org.
Thank you, Tom. All right, moving on to the first business of order is the approval of the agenda. Are there any requests to amend tonight's agenda? Hearing none, a motion is in order to approve tonight's agenda as presented.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Clerk Crew, will you please call the roll?
Krug votes yes, Kotrick,
Yes.
Kessler,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Gopel's absent, Tucker,
Yes.
Lorraine,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thanks, Bob. All right, moving on to the next business in order is the meeting minutes. Included in the packet are the minutes from the November 15th regular meeting. Are there any corrections or requested revisions to these meeting minutes? Hearing none, the meeting minutes stand approved as presented. Next business order is expenditures. Are there any questions from the board regarding any of the invoices? All right, hearing none, a motion is in order to approve the expenditures totaling $251,348.98 for payment.
So moved.
Support.
All right, motion's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Krug, will you please call the roll?
Reed,
Yes.
Gopel's absent, Tucker,
Yes.
Kessler,
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Cotter,
Yes.
and I vote yes, motion passes.
All right, expenditures stand approved as presented. Moving on to the next business order is public hearings. Tonight, we have Fenton Township 2022 budget hearing. The proposed 2022 Fenton Township budget was distributed to the board prior to the November 15th meeting, and it has been available for review at the township since that time. Operations Manager will provide an overview of the proposed budget.
Thank you.
Yes, so we have a proposed budget for all of the funds, including for the first time, the special assessment, special revenue funds, which is a change required by GASB 84. I'll highlight the general fund first. As far as on the revenue side, we did have a small bump in property tax revenue based on taxable value increases. Also, the revenue sharing was increased based on current treasury projections. Some reductions, we had a large sale of property this year, which we aren't budgeting for next year. And also there was a special assessment where we had a lot of payoffs the first year, which we're anticipating less next year. The net revenue change is about $340,000 less than last year, but still very healthy. On the expenditure side, contracted services under clerk and general, along with web development, are lower because we had the conversion this year. Computer equipment, we had the network upgrade, so that budget is lower. Looking for any other significant changes. Under drains, we had the drain project that was a special assessment where all the expense was recognized this year. Everything else is pretty flat. Projecting increase to the fund balance of roughly $247,000 in the budget. We'll modify, we can monitor and modify as needed throughout the year. I won't really highlight the special assessment funds because they are just a function of what's out there and what needs to be collected. There's no real discretionary spending or revenue in there. On the fire side, we are proposing or budgeting for the purchase of a new tanker truck, which will use up a good part of the fund balance that's in there now. Dog park, we're still projecting a flat budget. Street lighting, lake improvement special assessments are just a function of the actual assessments. Solid waste, small deficit. We're in the last year of the contract. We flatlined the assessment, so we've got a little bit of a surplus built up. And mosquito, as we discussed previously, we did not assess anything this year. We have enough in the cash reserves to cover the one-year contract extension that the board already approved. On the sewer side, we're looking for an increase. Well, we're projecting spending some ARPA funds this year and none next year. The reality is we'll probably spend most of it next year. We may have to adjust the budget accordingly. On the revenue, or on the sewer operation and maintenance county costs, the county is implementing a rate increase to the township, so that expense is going up almost $500,000. Everything else in the sewer fund is fairly flat. They're projecting a modest surplus in the sewer fund for the year. So that's the quick version of highlights of the significant differences between this year's projections and next year's budget. But I'd be happy to answer any specific questions if the board has any, and then of course the public too.
Correct, all right. The board will now accept public comment on the proposed budget. I'll now open it up for public comment. Is there anyone attending tonight's meeting that would like to address the board regarding the proposed Fenton Township 2022 budget? Is there anyone attending tonight that would like to speak to the budget 2022? Hearing none, moving on to Zoom, and as I can see, only our assessor is attending this evening, so we'll move on. I will now say that the public hearing is closed. Okay, resolution number 2021-40, a General Appropriations Act. Resolution to formally adopt the 2022 Fenton Township budget. Operations Manager Broker, will you please review the resolution?
Yes, this is the same form of resolution we've used every year to formally adopt the budget. I'll highlight the resolving clauses. It designates the supervisor as the chief administrative officer and the clerk as the fiscal officer. Sets forth the estimated revenues and expenditures for each fund, which foot back to the budget spreadsheet. Adopts the budget by reference, and for general fire and sewer funds, adopts the budget by department or activity. Gives the chief administrative officer specific transfer authority within the budget, requires periodic fiscal reports to the board, and requires proper budget monitoring.
Thanks, Tom. All right, I do need a motion to adopt resolution number 2021.
I'll move the resolution.
All right. Motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion from the board? Hearing none, Clerk Crew, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Contract.
Yes.
Kessler.
Yes.
Krug votes yes. Gopal is absent. Tucker.
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Thanks, Bob.
Yep.
Moving on, the next business in order is reports. Are there any committee reports to be made to the board this evening? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to communications. Tonight we have none. Adoption of ordinances, none. We will move on to unfinished business. Proposed 2022 Fenton Township meeting schedule. Operations Manager Broker, will you kind of lightly review?
Sure. The board did approve a revised schedule at the last meeting, but because it was an unanticipated change made on the fly, so to speak, we went back and looked at the impact of going to first and third Tuesdays, and found a couple instances where we needed to make specific changes. So what you're gonna see in this is for the township board meetings for May, where we could have an election, for August, where we will have an election, we're moving to second and fourth Tuesday. Because the first Tuesday in those months falls on election day. Because of the way the calendar falls, we don't have that problem in November, although we will in most years. So as a result, the fourth Tuesday is also ZBA meetings. So for those 2 months, May and August, the ZBA meeting is moved to the fifth Monday. So those are the only specific variations from the standard meeting schedule.
All right, thanks, Tom. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Isn't the ZBA right after Memorial Day? Or do I have my dates wrong? I thought May 30th was, but I could be wrong.
It's probably the day after Memorial Day.
Okay, that's what I was thinking,
Yeah,
so.
it's Tuesday, yeah.
Any other questions from the board? All right, I need a motion to adopt the 2022 Fenton Township meeting schedule as revised.
Well, I have one quick question.
Oh,
I just
sure.
noticed that on the township meeting and the ZBA, both have meetings on December 20th.
Oh.
I didn't catch that either, Tom.
You're right.
I that just caught my eye.
We're gonna have to fix that one. Okay.
Want to adjust it and vote on it next?
Well, I'm wondering, maybe we could move that one back to Monday the 19th for the ZBA? Do you know, do Mondays pose a problem for the ZBA?
That I'm not sure of. Yeah.
I don't either.
I mean, I'm sure we could make the adjustment.
We can just make sure we have a half an hour meeting on December 20th.
There you go.
I'm good with
That
that.
works.
I'll second.
Support?
I'd say we move the ZBA meeting to Monday and proceed.
Okay. We'll make that change include that in the revision, and then if it has to change again, we can always deal with it at the
All
time.
right, then I still need a motion to adopt 2022 Fenton Township meeting schedule as revised again.
So moved.
Support.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Clerk Krug, will you please call the roll?
I just,
Uh-oh.
are we sure no, okay, we're meeting now on what day? The township?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Okay.
And for November.
Took care of my question.
For
6:30,
November
Bob.
next year, because the first is on a Tuesday, election day is the Tuesday after the first Monday.
Yeah.
So election day next year will actually be the 8th. So most
Okay.
years it doesn't work that way, but the 20.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all right. Clerk Krug, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Gopal is absent, Tucker,
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Krug votes yes, Reed,
Yes.
Kessler,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thanks, Bob. All right, next order of business in new business is proposed 2022 GIS service agreement with North Arrow Technologies, Inc. I'm sure we've all had time to review the memo in the packet, but Operations Manager, will you provide a little additional information?
Yes, proposed agreement is the same as last year's, with the exception that we removed almost all of the website update budget, simply because we think we'll be live with the new website before year end, but we left a little in there in case it does carry over. But once we're live on the new website, then we should not need any assistance from North Arrow going forward. We have staff that will be doing all the updates. So that's the only change between, as far as the numbers between the 2021 and the 2022 agreement. Their hourly rate is still at 80 per hour, which is below anyone else in the state. Few companies provide this service, and they have done an outstanding job for the township for a long time. They really keep our GIS up to date, and they're working to make it more available to staff and officials.
Thanks, Tom. Any questions from the board? I do want to make it clear that the board authorized the redevelopment of our website, and that we're sticking true to that we should be able to be doing all the updates that we used to pay. North Arrow will be doing in-house now. All right, I need a motion to approve the 2022 GIS services agreement between the Charter Township of Fenton and North Arrow Technologies, Inc. as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Clerk Krug, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Kessler,
Yes.
Krug votes yes, Reed,
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Gopal is absent, motion passes.
Thanks, Bob. All right, next under new business is the GCRC, or Genesee County Road Commission Local Road Agreement. This is Golden Shore Street Improvement Special Assessment. I'm sure we've all had time to review the memo in the packet. Operations Manager, will you provide just a little additional information?
Sure. At the last board meeting, the township created the Golden Shore Street Improvement Special Assessment District. And so now the next step is to execute the agreement with the road commission so they can begin the design and engineering. They'll bid the project out, and then the low bid will be the basis for the special assessment roll. We'll come back and finish the special assessment process. So they actually turned the contract around pretty quickly this time, so they can get out right away.
All right, thanks, Tom. Any questions or comments from the board? All right, hearing none, I need a motion to approve the local road agreement with the Genesee County Road Commission for the rehabilitation of Golden Shores Drive, Golden Circle, and Golden Court to be completed under a special assessment district as presented.
So moved.
Support.
Bob?
Nope, go ahead. I was just gonna support it and
All right, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Clerk Krug, will you call the roll?
yes, sir. Tucker,
Yes.
Lorraine,
Yes.
Gopal's absent, Kessler,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Krug votes yes, motion passes.
Thanks, Bob. Next under new business is water and sewer rate study proposals by Baker Tilly Municipal Advisors. Again, we reviewed the proposal in the packet, but Operations Manager, will you give some detail?
Yes, just for reference, Baker Tilly and their predecessor firm names have been our municipal finance advisor for almost 20 years, I think. And it was under ACI Finance, Tom Tracy, when the last sewer rate study was done back in 2006. So the rate study for water is going to be necessary in order to create our rate structure for the municipal water system. And aside from needing to be updated, the sewer rate study also needs to include now a rate calculation for those who will be both on water and sewer. So the proposal is to do 2 studies. Sewer study is $15,000, the water study is $20,000, and we've already started gathering information in anticipation of this, but this is going to be a necessary part of moving forward with our infrastructure improvements.
Thanks, Tom. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, I need a motion to approve the proposal of Baker Tilly Municipal Advisors LLC for the completion of water and sewer rate studies as presented.
So moved.
Support.
All right, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Krug, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Lorraine.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Kessler.
Yes.
Gopel's absent. Tucker.
Yes.
Krug votes yes. Reed.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thanks, Bob. Next under new business is the purchase offer, tax reverted property. We had we've all reviewed the offer in the packet. I do want the board to understand that the purchase offer does include an option on the remaining 24 units. So I'm sure you've all caught that. So Operations Manager Broker, will you review?
Sure. We own 7 4-unit building sites in Fenton Orchards that were deeded to us through the tax reversion process. So there's a map, I believe, in here that shows the 4 that are the subject of this purchase agreement, purchase offer. It's 13 through 16. And actually, we got a map up on the screen too. You can see where they are. The current SEV per unit is $7,500, so true cash of 15. So it appears that the offer is based on our assessor's determination of value. I know the Attorney Belzer had a few issues with the agreement, which I think everyone probably agreed with, so there may be some discussion, further discussion that needs to take place.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
I put together a form for selling this kind of property, so I'm not sure why we keep getting these on board forms. So I would not recommend doing any deal on this form. There's a number of things, I won't bore you with the details, but it's not a typical buy-sell transaction where we have knowledge and access to the property. We got it through tax reversion. That's what you see is what you get kind of a purchase agreement. So I will say, I mean, as far as pricing goes, I don't know. Jack has told me that he has done some digging around and thinks the numbers is light. I will say this about it. It was probably a year ago. There were some discussions about selling some of these lots, and the association was pretty actively opposing the notion, making an argument that the lots, because they weren't developed within 10 years of recording the master deed, had converted to general common elements, which is an argument that you see made in scenarios. I talked to that attorney and pointed out the fact that these are site condominiums, not just condominiums, and that seemed to kind of cool down his enthusiasm for the position, but there is some risk to whoever jumps in at first. You know, we won't know exactly what the association would do. If I was in that business, I would take the risk and buy them cheap to build on them. But so at that, my 2 cents, get it on the correct form, and then I would want to talk to Julie about the price. I don't know if there's any movement in the market that we should be aware of. I do believe building is upticking, so I'd like to hear what Jack had to say about price when he finds out.
Well, when you look at land values and other condos there, it's substantially more than $15,000. find a lot of building sites. I mean, I talked to a couple brokers, and you don't find too many building sites for $15,000. And when you see the units that are built, the land value is more than $15,000. The ones on the water, I think, were as much as 50,000. The ones on the back, I can't remember, like 35,000.
Can I answer some of those questions?
I was hoping you would.
Some of those lots that you're talking about, have sat there for quite a while. The reason that those lots, the values are a little bit lower, there's a few problems with them. Dealing with the topography on where they're at and the wetlands where they're at. And being that they weren't selling, that's one of the reasons that those ones are a little bit lower. Also, you have to take into consideration what we did before that phase 2 up on top started selling. There is a huge problem with that road over there and the culvert that's underneath it. The road is actually sinking. I think they fixed that road like 3 times. I think the reason that phase 2 took off so dramatically finally is because of the supply and demand of lots, and that's what's going on up there. And this could be different, but there was no interest in those, and that's why that value is a little bit lower than the other ones that are on the roll and that have been on the roll. And the ones up top are also single family, they are not attached.
Thanks, Julia. Any other comments from the board? I want to speak to this. I'm not a real estate agent, but I know we've been sitting on this property for a long time. We also have an obligation to the residents. I mean, with what's left there at $60,000 is $500,000 sitting there. The only thing that I would disagree with is that, again, he has an option to buy them at the same price. I would like to see construction start. I think when somebody starts construction, other people move in and they want to start construction. And so, to me, I certainly would not do the option. John, you are correct. As far as the form, that we should have caught at the office and had it on the proper form. I think that takes a simple change. Can we tonight, would we rather, can we accept the $60,000 or take a vote on the $60,000 using the township's form? Let me finish. Or is it something that we're just gonna have to table until they have a chance to review the township's form? Because in my opinion, again, I would like to see some movement out there. I think $60,000 into the township. Certainly, I wouldn't be interested in taking up the option or voting on the option. So I would certainly want to amend that. I would make a counter, but I certainly think that it's in the best interest of the township at this point to sell units 13 through 16 for $60,000. So can you speak to or answer my question? Can we?
Yes, we can, certainly we can proceed with, contingent approval. I don't think they'll have a problem. Ed didn't write this purchase agreement, John did, but I'm pretty sure they're familiar with the concept at the realtor's office. And it does constitute a counter at that point.
Yes.
So there are material differences in the terms, so that would be a counter offer on township's form. As to price, I would agree that we shouldn't give a blanket option on all the rest of them, because once the first building site goes up and there's no problem, I think the value of the others will go up.
That's what I'm saying, but I would like to see the first one move. That's my.
And then I would just, again, have Julia look at those 4 specific units and give me an opinion on price with respect to that. They're offering 15 per, 60 total.
Julia, could you speak to that? Because that's, if you look at SEV, that's what you're saying, it's the property's worth is 60, correct?
Yeah, but she also says the market's heated up.
Yes, on those ones, because those are the last attached units in there, and we've sat on them for so long, I don't think we've had I think we had an offer a few years ago, and it was only $5,000 a unit. But I can relook at all those. Like I said, they are challenging with the wetlands and the topography of where they're at and how they're gonna get in there, especially with that road. I'm looking to the future with that road, with all those other lots being built up there. I'm going to assume that association is finally gonna take care of that lot and the culvert and the sinking of that road area. So that's gonna be one thing that's gonna be removed from some of those lots. But I can do that, and I can send that all out to all of you tomorrow if you'd like.
John, would you be interested in putting forth a counter that would include the 60 rejecting the option and on our form? And let's bring it to a vote.
For the 60? Yeah.
Then,
Okay, and there's one other part in here too. There's a dual agency provision, which it's not the township agent, and we shouldn't have to pay any real estate commissions. I mean, if somebody's offering to buy from the township, it's not the township had it for sale with the broker. There's nothing signed by the township giving agency to whatever, Tremaine Realty.
Eliminating the form eliminates that problem.
I was just gonna say.
Well,
on the
Because we
form.
haven't signed anything that makes him an agent.
Yeah, I would,
You specifically,
yeah.
well,
Yeah, I'd rather have the form here and have the board vote on what you're really doing. It's real estate, it ought to be in writing. This way, there's just no problem coming about. I mean, yeah, you can vote to sell it for 60,000, but my recommendation would be have the whole thing here, because you can't close the deal anyways until it's signed by everybody. And have the form, have it there, have it in front of everybody.
it would also give us time to have Julia look at price.
Right.
Because, I mean, I understand that they're going from the current assessed value, but that was that's a year ago almost. So if you listen to her, the market has moved in terms of activity. Now, whether it's material or not, I don't know, but that's what she gets paid the big bucks for. I would be interested in what she has to say about that. So I guess from that standpoint, and the fact that we're gonna have a meeting in 2 weeks, it's not like he's gonna start digging holes in the ground here soon. So I guess I would probably say that I would agree with Jack on that one.
Okay. Luke, you are present, Mr. Birchmeyer. Is that going to, I mean, 2 weeks, is that going to make a big difference whether you start putting?
No, it's not, that's not the big difference. It would be one building, say, which would be considered a fourplex, the goal is to have control of all of them, build on all of them, not necessarily just build one. Unless you're doing it in a production way, there's not really money to be made. To go there and build 4 units is a wash, and it'd take more time and resources than it'd be worth.
I was just gonna say, would it affect you it's not gonna make a difference whether you decide to build or not. I'm not saying that if you don't get them all, you're not gonna do it. I'm just saying, that's all I wanted to ask.
No, that part doesn't. But there is, I guess what I'm saying, a lot of added bonus. There's 24 units times $4 grand a year in tax revenue. And there's also, what was I gonna say on that? Oh, a lot of risk as well. I mean, who knows, there might be a purchase of this and there might be $20,000 in litigation with the HOA just to make them buildable as well. There's the risk of that as well.
Okay, let us bring that up at another time. So, does somebody wanna make a motion to either accept, reject, or make a counter? So we need one.
I'll make a motion that we take the information presented, placed on the appropriate form that the township uses, and have the assessor and our attorney review it, and we bring it back on the 20th for a vote.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
All right, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Krug, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Kessler.
Yes.
Krug votes yes. Reed.
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Cottrell.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thanks, Bob. All right, next under new business is assessing department staffing. I'm sure we've all had a chance to review the memo in the packet, but our operations manager, Broker, will provide additional information.
Sure.
Where's that coming from, Tom?
It must be.
You mute her?
Julia, can you mute? We're getting some background noise. Is that you or no?
Yeah, you know what, I keep looking at that, my button is backwards. Like right now, it tells me I'm mute, but I'm not.
Now you're okay. Now
So
you're-
I was looking at the sign up there, trying to figure out, okay, am I muted or unmuted?
Okay.
All right,
You're good.
you're muted.
Okay.
All right, Tom.
The memo, just outlines a situation where a deputy assessor was on leave of absence, based on her doctor's note. She's scheduled to return to work on November 8th. According to the union contract, failure to return within 5 working days of her scheduled return, without providing evidence that they're unable to continue their jobs due to physical or mental illness, results in a situation where the employee has voluntarily resigned. Included a copy of the letter that was sent to the employee. Since all hirings and terminations are subject to board approval, we're just asking the board to accept the resignation of Jenny Anderson effective November 15th.
Thanks, Tom. Any questions or comments from the board? Yes.
I just wanted to ask, have we had any communications with her? Or,
After she got the letter, I did talk to her. She said she understood.
okay.
And not a whole lot more.
Alright, thanks, that's really what I was.
Been in contact with the union on that?
Union has not contacted us.
All right, we have not contacted them.
No, we're following the contract. so-
I understand, I'm
Yeah.
just asking questions.
Yeah, no, I mean, the union, the steward is aware of it.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
I see Nancy's in the audience, I'd like to hear from her.
Sure.
Okay, I wasn't gonna bring her up, but Nancy, if you'd like to address the board, would you please come up to the podium?
All right. My name's Nancy Shinonis. I am an employment attorney for the Charter Township of Fenton. And Mr. Broker has gone through and summarized the facts. The collective bargaining agreement provides that if an employee has not either provided evidence that they are unable to work, they have to return to work by the date provided by the doctor when someone's on leave. That hasn't happened in this situation, and the employee has also already exhausted their family medical leave time. So under the collective bargaining agreement, there is additional time up to 6 months if the employee provides a doctor's note that shows evidence of a physical or mental disability that prevents them from being able to do their job. It's my understanding that this employee was provided an opportunity and reminded that the doctor's note needed to be turned in, failed to do so, and then based on the expiration of the existing doctor's note and her failure to return to work, and 5 days of unexcused absences, then the resignation can be accepted by the township pursuant to the collective bargaining agreement.
Do you have a feel on the probability of a grievance if we proceed accepting the voluntary resignation?
If a grievance was filed, I think it would be unsuccessful because we have followed the collective bargaining agreement language to a T. We have quoted the language within the collective bargaining agreement in the correspondence to the employee. That employee has been made aware via telephone, text message, and hard copy letter of her responsibilities of providing a doctor's note to substantiate a continued request for leave and has failed to do so. So if a grievance were filed, I believe that grievance would be able to be denied by the township because the township has upheld its obligation under the contract and the employee has failed to provide the documentation required under the collective bargaining agreement.
So if I can put words in your mouth, you feel comfortable with us proceeding to it in the fashion?
Yes, yes. And it's my recommendation that the resignation be accepted at this point.
That's what I wanted to know.
Any other questions for Commissioner Owens at this time? Any other
Answer.
questions? From the board? All right, I need a motion to accept the voluntary resignation of Jenny Anderson effective November 15th, 2021.
So moved.
Support.
All right, motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Krug, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Lorraine?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Cotter?
Yes.
Kessler?
Yes.
I vote yes. Tucker?
Yes.
Gopel is absent. Motion passes.
Thanks, Bob. All right, next under new business is the intergovernmental agreement, Genesee County Aerial Imagery Project 2022 through years 2028. We've all had, have reviewed the agreement in the packet. Operations Manager, will you please provide additional information?
Yes, as you know, this was added today. We got notification, this letter, the top letter came to Vince in the summertime. We responded immediately that yes, we want to be included, as we have in the past. And then apparently it became known to the county that the vendor doing the flights is nearing capacity for their spring flights, and so they've asked all communities to expedite approval of the agreement. I was kind of planning on having it on the next meeting, assuming we had it, but we didn't have it until this morning. But they did ask if we could expedite approval. It would help them ensure that the flights would take place this spring and not be delayed a year. What these flights provide are the aerial photography and pictometry that goes into our GIS and is used in a multitude of ways for ZBA, Planning Commission, site reviews. And our cost is about $15,000 spread over 6 years. It's a shared cost with all the other units in the county, and it's really a good program that the county organizes for us.
Thanks, Tom. Any questions from the board?
$2,500 a year is a excellent value.
Can't
For
fly
what
from
you
here
get.
to Detroit.
Yeah, you can. Or Miami.
Yeah, or Miami.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Any other questions?
So the
Okay.
memo said if all partners continue to participate, that will be the price. Do we have a feel for, is that likely that everyone will continue to participate?
Our understanding is that they didn't have anybody opting out, saying that they were opting out.
Okay.
It's just a matter of timing, getting some agreements done.
I would be shocked if they did, because everybody relies on this stuff for a lot of things. so.
I think this is one of those things that once you're in, you don't want to get out.
Yeah.
Not for that price.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. Any other comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, I need a motion to approve the Genesee County Aerial Imagery Project years 2022 through 2028 intergovernmental agreement as presented.
So moved.
Support.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Krug, will you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Krug votes yes. Cotter?
Yes.
Kessler?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Gopel is absent. Tucker?
Yes.
Lorraine?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Yep.
The next business order is board comment. Is there anyone on the board that has additional comments or concerns?
Go blue, baby.
Oh, yeah.
I have one comment.
We'll be there.
I learned that the Lake Fenton Lake Association is going to take over the fireworks, the July 4th fireworks that used to be done privately on Cases Island.
Yes.
Is that a permitted function? Do they have to come to the township and get a permit to do
We
that?
have, Tom and I had I don't know if you want to cover this or not, but Tom and I had just the initial meeting. So we are just in, stage one. But yes, it would have to be done by a professional licensed company.
Right. The chief probably would have more insight.
Yeah, I was gonna
on
say, I was just
fireworks
gonna
than
reach out
any
to
of
the
us,
chief.
but,
Yeah.
I think it's a state level permit, is what I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. But as far as from a zoning standpoint, I don't think we have any township permits.
Okay.
But they would have to follow all the state rules and requirements.
Well, again, the details are to
Okay.
follow, but they're
I'm
talking
just
about putting them in
speaking out loud.
barges, small ones on the
Oh,
beach,
okay.
things like that, so
Right.
we are just in the preliminary stages, but it would take it off. I know the chief's got a lot of concerns about the fireworks being on the island. I think it's, especially with them having a truck, you could have the ability to have a safer fireworks display, a bigger fireworks display. Since it is, being done by the association, I think they could do a GoFundMe, and I think more people would participate participate because it is through the association. Association's guaranteeing that 100% of the funds collected would be used for the fireworks, and any incidental costs. So again, we're in the initial stages of it, so I think that they're gonna come back after they get all the questions that we had for them, right, Tom? Yep.
Well, I think it makes me feel good just to know that you've been approached and involved, and that was sort of how it was brought to me, was a safety concern for the residents, and, you know, is the township involved, is the fire chief involved, you know, and I said, I don't know what the process is for this, but I'll certainly bring it up, but I assumed there were
All of the
permits
above.
that had to
Yes.
be followed, yes,
Yeah.
and safety rules, good,
And
thank
the
you.
firm that would be doing it, I think we'd be going from someone that does it as a hobby to some professional firm that would have the insurance, everything that would be required.
Great, thank you.
All right.
And the chief will get to relax more.
Hard to get the trucks over the island.
Yeah. Those snorkels just don't work.
And the hoses they have over there a little. Any other board comments or concerns? All right, next business in order is public comment on agenda and non-agenda items. We'll now open up the meeting for public comment on agenda or non-agenda items. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items? All right, hearing none. We also have no one that's joined us via Zoom. So I don't need Tom to explain the procedure for that. So if there's no other public comment or anyone wanting to address the board, it is now 8:17 p.m. If there's nothing else, I say good night and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.